report at the same point of view.
Make a motion to accept the agenda as written.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye. Seltzer water. Sounded bad.
Wait, so we have, are you involved with the Finn Hill Road?
I am, and
Okay.
I'm happy to introduce myself.
Yep.
This is the wrong time.
No, this is the right
Right
time.
time.
Yep.
I'm Jenny Atia.
Nice to meet you, Robin Trask. Melissa Gates.
Hi.
Susan.
Hi.
Richard Griswold, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Oh,
I haven't, oh, you're Chris, okay. You're the boss.
none about that. More discussion.
Well, we just went to visit both the properties that are
Right, so we're
on.
dealing with
Finn
hers
Hill
first.
Okay.
I
I sent a letter. Did you guys get the letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody want a copy?
I have one.
Thank you.
I'll take a printed copy. I
Yeah.
just have it. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you want, Chris?
And also you're welcome to say whatever because this is recorded.
Anybody else?
I would take.
Thank you.
I'll just leave one here, just in case. Yeah. I saw somebody drive down the driveway and turn around. Was that you guys?
Yeah, we all did, yeah.
Okay, I saw one car.
That was us.
Okay, super.
We were all there.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
you.
no, we were.
We were just at the end of the,
To meet any other, because all of your adjoining neighbors also got letters, so we have to be there to meet with anybody or
Oh.
any person that wanted to come to the meeting.
So you waited there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
At the end.
For any
Yeah.
I-
discussion.
Who wants to open the discussion?
did you have something above and beyond the letter to say about it?
Sure, I want to actually amend the letter because we have some news. As you know, we're doing what we can to help purchase the property that Dwayne Nichols owns. That's in the letter that I mentioned. And at the time I wrote it, the deal was off. The deal's back on again. So that's good news. And I just wanted you guys to know that. And just wanted to make the point that we're doing what we can to contribute to the common good here in Andover, and we'd really appreciate your support.
Where's the Dwayne Nichols property?
That's
That's Lydia's.
exactly.
Oh, Lydia's, okay. So you're trying to buy Lydia's.
I am part of the deal.
Okay,
I would rather not talk about it.
that's fine. I didn't know, when she said
Keep it among
Dwayne's.
ourselves,
Yeah, no,
that's
that's fine. I just didn't
You're
know,
on camera.
I know.
Well, I just in general would rather
Yes,
not.
yes, I didn't know it by that name, that's all, so I didn't know.
I know, I'm a Lydia person too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for me?
No, I'll open the conversation. My first thought is, as soon as I drove to your road, it's obvious that it's set up to be. My feeling is that it's private property, and I feel like our town can't absorb at this time the cost of maintaining these driveways, their driveways, for all intents and purposes. And I know that's a hardship to the landowner because I indeed have a long driveway myself that I have to maintain myself. And it's a very long driveway. It's very steep, it's very narrow. And I know that that is a cost. And so I understand the plight of everyone in regards to this. But I am concerned that one of these letters, it states that the property was bought back in 76 maybe, or
79.
and the cost of a town truck back then was a completely different cost than what it is now. The cost of just everything has gone up so much that I am, and we're being being asked to look at these roads and bring them up to specs or to declassify them, the cost of that's involved to the taxpayers for what essentially is a private driveway, even though it is classified as a town road. And so, I mean, I want to hear what the rest of our select board feels about this and what they're thinking in regards to, well, we're dealing with your road right now.
One of the things that we've been doing, well, what we've been doing is going around and looking at the dirt roads, the more back roads in town, one by one. I don't know if we'll get around to all of them. It's a slow process because we have to put a lot of thought and we have to warn it and we have to go do the site visits. But one pattern, I mean, I'm kind of grasping at ways to make it a fair kind of decision-making process. And one of the things, there's the matter of whether the road is up to the state specs for a Class 3 road, because the deal is that that's how Andover's really hurting for money, and that's how we get our roads funded. But we get a certain amount of money per mile from the state for each Class 3 road that we maintain. And so one of the yardsticks that I kind of made up in my own mind anyway, to try to distinguish between roads that we might be less inclined to continue to maintain, would be if there was only one house on the road and if all the land on either side is owned by the same person. I mean, this is just my kind of private little thing in my head. I'm not saying that it's not a rule or anything, but to me that feels like more of a private driveway.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I mean, going up to your house just now, what a beautiful place.
It
what
is.
a beautiful location, and what a beautiful family story. And I do appreciate 1964 was a long time ago. It did feel like a private road, you know, with there's a lot of postings and cameras and stuff in it. I just okay, well, maybe not cameras, but anyway, there were a lot of, it was intensively posted, and I felt like for me, I would just never go drive on, and I'm not nosy enough to want to go down roads that have postings and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, but I don't know how much money per mile it takes to maintain a road, but I mean, to me, it felt like a private road. It felt like a driveway.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like it was a welcoming driveway. And not to be rude, not to sound rude, but I mean, it was obvious to me that if I were driving by, I would go, oh, we shouldn't go out there because that's their property. And I wouldn't want to go out there. That's what I mean by welcoming. I don't mean like, you know, that it looked, I mean, it's beautiful. But I would never turn onto that road.
Well, a lot of people do.
Going.
Just so you know, a
Yeah.
lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It's primarily hunters.
Yeah, well, yeah, hunters come out our road too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ours does say private.
Well, I'd like to read my letter because I'm not sure my point of view has been communicated. Is that all right?
Yeah, I think you should, because this is a public.
Okay. To Chairman Chris Plum and the members of the Andover Selectboard, I am responding to your letter dated June 24 about your upcoming meeting on July 22nd, which will consider whether to reclassify Finn Hill Road. I am hoping to attend in person, but I wanted to express my thoughts in writing as well. As the president of Queensberry Farms Foundation, let me ardently request the road keep its current Class 3 status. When my father, Robert Attia, bought the house in 1964, he did so not only because it was a lovely Vermont property to be maintained and enjoyed, but also on the premise that it was served by a town road. Over the 60 years that the property has been in our family, the maintenance by the town of this road has been an important consideration of our ownership of the property. It would be unfair to us to take away the town road and its town maintenance that has been enjoyed by us and our predecessors in title for more than a century. Finn Hill Road leads to a residence which also serves as the headquarters of Queensberry Farms, a private nonprofit foundation that owns all of the property. The foundation's purpose is to protect from development and preserve in perpetuity around 600 acres of fields, woods, and stretches of the Williams River and Lovejoy Brook so that native trees and plants can thrive, along with the wildlife who call this land their home. Because of this, we believe that being able to access the road year-round is in the town's interests. This important land and foundation is entirely funded by our family, and we have a restricted budget. However, we just allocated a large amount of money to help Dan and Wendy Fisher with their goal of purchasing and cleaning up Dwayne Nichols' property in Andover, which has long been an eyesore in the neighborhood. This purchase has been delayed, but we haven't given up on the idea. It's crucial to the well-being of Andover at large. Lastly, if the road is no longer considered a Class 3 by the town of Andover, in order to preserve our funds for the care and upkeep of this foundation and important property purchases, we may have to shut down the house in wintertime. The added cost, inconvenience, let alone stress of maintaining this road on our own would be harmful to me specifically and to the foundation. I hope you will bear these points in mind as you consider Finn Hill Road's classification. And let me just add one more thing, if I may. I believe there is some wiggle room on these reclassifications because the applicable standard for road reclassification is whether the select board determines that, quote, the public good, necessity, and convenience of the inhabitants of the municipality require reclassification. Now, I just explained what I think is a public good that we're doing, and we are all obviously also inhabitants. So that's my spiel.
I have a question, and I'm not involved with that property, but when we purchase a property and you purchase it with a road, and in that case, 1979, that was there 100 years before then, is there no grandfathering right to the road? I mean, it's not like, you put a new driveway in and ask you to maintain it, but when you spend a lot of money to purchase it and then you live on it and use it for 45 years, and the previous family 100 years, is that not a consideration? If the road's not a hazard to life and limb, or it's totally washed away and it's an extraordinary expense. It just seems to me it should be a consideration.
So Chris, I think from his question, and I don't know this for certain, but I feel like it's that the town, in other words, the town can decide. The town can't be forced to maintain something.
The town has made up their mind.
Right. Meaning it's not, in other words, there's no grandfathered kind of, I don't think there's a grandfathered in thing for roads. Right, but what you're saying is it grandfathered in where then,
Where it always has to be.
Consideration.
yeah, I don't think so.
What it was purchased for and with and all that. No, just a consideration, not a law. I know it's not a law.
I think as all of us as longtime Andover people do take, at least myself, it's a strong consideration for me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean for me that it would be the deciding factor, but the history of our town is a very strong consideration. And we're also very concerned about precedent, historical precedent and new precedent too.
And I will go back to, I'll be the cold fish here, the cost involved. The cost involved of maintaining what is virtually someone's driveway. And our town is in a very difficult situation right now with the money that we have.
The taxes just went up quite a bit.
And they did on all of
Quite a
us. On all of us. They did on all of us.
Yes, I know.
So that's across the board.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned with these longer driveways that the town will be the town continues to maintain that in my opinion, our driveways. I understand that they have been there for a very long time, and I understand that you've paid a lot of money in taxes, as we all have. A great deal of that is school taxes. It goes to the state. It doesn't go to the town. It doesn't go to our local school. It goes to the state. I wish we could do something about that. Our town is, we've got somebody on the board trying to work on that. Our municipal taxes, although we try to keep down, we try to keep as cost efficient as we can. We've seen huge floods. We have seen, we were looking just 2 months ago at getting a loan for the town to be able to pay its bills just to keep going. And so those are the issues we're looking at.
I have something to say. As crazy as this sounds, when we do the budget, there are line items for things like the plowing, the sanding, the stone, all of that beautiful stone that went into that long area of your road there.
Right.
And we sit here and we literally are talking and back and forth about, which place can we get to get this much stone? How can we get through the winter with this much sand? Right. How can we get through the winter with this plow? And if this plow breaks because we're plowing someone's very long, beautiful property's driveway, and that plow breaks when we're not doing something that really, could we not go in there and take that risk with that equipment, because that truck and that plow is going to hit Andover for $180,000, which we cannot do. We can't do it. So for us, it's just, we're trying to, firstly, will Charlie and the crew have to maintain it in some way that the state wants it maintained, which is going to cost us a lot of money. Then secondly, if it sort of looks like a driveway and it acts like a driveway, and the people of Andover are not driving down your driveway to park in your yard to then go walking around your property, that's not happening. And so it's like, where can we do everything for the taxpayers, the people who are, we don't want to keep having our tax base go up the way that it is. It's terrible. It's driving people out of here who can't afford to live here, who have lived here for 6 generations. So we're just trying to be fair. We're looking at everyone singularly, and it's all, everybody's a little bit different. It's not easy, but there's this place where I can't look at somebody that I see who, say, lives in Andover and they have to plow their own driveway. Robin's driveway is probably a mile long. And there's other people. But the point is that it's a driveway. And the town of Andover does not plow her driveway. They don't plow my driveway. They don't plow Susan's driveway or anybody sitting here. So we just have to look at it in a really fair way, by where we say, okay, if this is going to save, maybe it saves us $5,000 a year by not doing it, right? That's huge. That's a load of sand.
I just want to say it's going to cost me a lot more than $5,000 a year to do this. A lot more. I'm glad that it's only $5,000.
Well, I don't know that it is.
That was a question I wanted to ask Charlie, actually. Like, what do you think it costs?
I don't know. If you can give that.
We can't do that.
We can't give that.
I literally just use that as a number to say in the budget.
That's too tough.
I think it's more.
That's too tough a question. Right. It would be more. But the point is, where can, we're just looking at this. Where's the state going to want to have them? And also,
what does the state want us to do to bring it up to regs? And we just looked at a big flood, and we've looked at a few, and we can't keep absorbing all this money for some. You and I'm sorry, we're jumping to the next one, but you said you were up here 3 times, and as I'm driving out that driveway, I'm like, 3 times the amount of money in stone that went down this driveway just to get it back to where it needed to be, where somebody could drive out it, for 3 times, and we're asking the taxpayers to pay for that. It just seems unfair to our taxpayers. It just doesn't seem right. And that's where I'm at with it. And the state is asking us to make these decisions. We didn't just come up with it ourselves. We did not get on the board and say, hey, let's... No. The state came to us and wants us to make these decisions. So, and I understand how difficult it is to maintain. I do. I understand that because I maintain one. And mine doesn't look anything like yours. And if I could I would love the town take over our road. I'd love to.
Was your
Would you do that, Charlie? You
was
wouldn't.
your road or driveway ever a town road?
Our road, so there's been back and forth with that because our road, Pomeroy Road, was a road.
So that was a class 3 road.
It went all the way out through, across
was it a class
through.
3 road?
It was a class 3.
It was
yes.
the original road we
It was.
started these meetings looking at was Parmley Road. Old Parmley Road. Isn't that what it was classified as?
The lower portion.
The lower, the last existing part of the road that was
Where
still.
my
that
place
road
is.
used to go.
So that used to be a class 3 road.
Yes.
It
I'm
was-
assuming so, yeah.
Yeah, until,
And then
Before
the
roads were even
the only
classed.
piece that stayed on the map was the what was it, like a 10 mile?
couldn't
A
be-
tenth of a mile.
500 something feet at the.
Point
Before they were
1.12.
even classed.
But that was the original one that we
We
were
looked at.
contacted about. That's a class 3 road, and it.
So I do. Believe me, I understand. I get it. I'm not somebody that doesn't get your situation that you're in.
And that one was solely, not to interrupt, but that was solely the state saying, look, we've been paying,
We're paying.
for this class 3 road and
Right.
it's not up.
It's not up to
So that's
standards,
kind
yeah.
of what opened eyes up to
Mhm.
what we're up against right now. Not to put Barry on the spot, but, and feel free to refuse to comment, but what would, if you had, since you take Biancanello Road
Mhm.
and you used to caretake for Jenny,
Mhm.
if you had to plow those roads in the winter, would you mind chiming in on what you think that might cost? And it doesn't have to be a winter because obviously there's so many variables, but even if you said by the plowing, just so we
Yeah,
have
by
kind of an
plowing,
idea.
Atias would probably be maybe from where the
Old Boynton
the old Boynton goes around. I'd say that would probably be probably about $1.25.
of plowing.
And yeah, and I would say Tony's would be probably 175.
What does $1.25 mean?
125.
125.
Okay.
125.
oh, for each time. Oh, I see.
Wow, I just,
Wow. It's a plow.
just
Right.
I like to think of stuff as a scale. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
to try to balance this out.
And that's really awesome to hear from you, even though I know it's ballpark, because for the town to fire up at 2 a.m. a town truck and fuel it up and get somebody paid double time, overtime to go up in the middle of the night and plow it, it's going to be 6 times that amount of money.
Well, and then we're
No,
not
because-
looking at maintenance. We're not
because
looking at flooding.
Right.
We're not
It
looking
would
at.
take him if Charlie went up and plowed Biancanello Road when he went down Lovejoy Brook Road. It would take him.
It's about 15 minutes or so.
Right, but you're not talking about
Because
the
Barry
hour.
plows
I'm talking about
Yeah,
the
just-
wear and tear on the equipment. The
I'm
whole
talking
thing.
about everything.
Oh,
I'm
no,
talking
I
about
know.
sanding. I'm talking about the sure pack that's going to need to go down. I'm talking about. I am saying everything. I'm saying riprap that goes down the edges. That the state is now saying we need to do. I am talking about the full maintenance of a road that the state is requiring us to do, and that is a lot of money for one home at the end of what is very seemingly a private driveway. And I'm sorry I'm saying that to you. I'm sorry that I'm saying it that bluntly, and I don't like that I'm saying it that bluntly. But it is, in my opinion, a driveway. And the cost involved with that is, I'm concerned with it. What it's going to cost this year, what it's going to cost next year, what it's going to cost 10 years from now. I would like to hear anyone else chime in. I've been very vocal about this, and I feel bad. I feel like, everybody's going to be hating on Robin, and I understand that. I do understand that.
The one thing to consider is the ditching is probably fine for most situations on both of those roads, but the state doesn't necessarily let us leave it that way. You don't have to upgrade it, but if we have it as a state class 3 road, we have to upgrade it.
What does that entail?
Ditching and stone.
You dig out the ditch and line it with stone.
That's what it's meant by riprap.
Rip wrap?
Yeah, it's 6-inch minus, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's 4 to 8
4 to
inch
yeah.
ledgestone.
How much is
Yeah,
is a
it's
load
just
of riprap,
a,
and how many feet does it?
It doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't go very far. I'm not sure what it is right now. David's prices went up pretty considerable the last couple of years. It's probably about $250 for a 6-wheeler load would be my guess.
And how many loads would you guess would take to go from here to the church? Let's just use that as an example.
Probably 4, 5.
Right. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at needing to do that for these roads, that the state is requiring us to do something like that for these roads. And so that's why we're here right now. Whether you want us to or not, you could say, oh, well, I don't care if you don't do that. The state is asking us to do that. And we can't have it, we can't have people say, well, I will do it. Well, I will agree to do it. Because we can't, that's like you're buying the select board and you can't do that. We can't do that either.
Did you have a
You
question
know?
or comment?
Yeah, I'm not an expert, but I've read that on a class 4 road, which I like to throw out there, because as I told you at my home, I'm gonna, I'm not necessarily gonna have house insurance once I lose the status as a road, because I can't get a fire truck up a trail, And even with the road, I had trouble with that. But from my understanding, if you go to a class 4, the town doesn't have to. It can make different requirements that are less stringent than the state to keep it open, and that doesn't have to do plowing.
So I've just been aware of, and this is the first time I've heard of it, and tell me if I'm wrong, Charlie, that right now the state is asking us to look at our class 3, and then as soon as we're done looking at our class 3, they're going to tell us to now look at our class 4, and they will need to be rip-wrapped as well. And now all those
Is a requirement.
It's going to be a
It's a
requirement.
lesser. You are correct.
So
in
we
the
are
prior
going
statement
to,
about
it's
the winter
a cycle that they're,
the no winter maintenance on a class 4 road is required.
Right.
Correct.
Right. And the town has some flexibility as to what the requirement. I guess that's what I've read as to what the requirements are for the road. It's not as strict as a class 3.
Exactly.
It's more up to the town and less up to the state.
On the surface.
But is it-
So a class 4 road, drainage wise, we would never do it if there's residents there, obviously, but you don't have to have cross culverts. You can do a swale and let the water run across the surface of the road. Obviously, you wouldn't do that when there's a house there. But that is, like he's saying, there's different rules that you could go by.
It just has to be a passable road.
You just have
which,
to keep it passable. And like Mr. Biancaniello said, you wouldn't have to plow it. The town would not have to plow it in the winter.
So
What
it
if-
keeps it passable. Excuse me.
What's that? The
It
town.
has to be a passable
The
road.
town keeps it passable, but if you understand what Charlie's saying, culverts go under the road.
Yes.
The state requirement for a class 4, he could actually build a culvert across the road, which is an actual ditch in the road. You drive over it real slow, and that keeps the water moving into the ditches rather than into the road. But that's still a passable road
Right.
to their standards on a class 4 road, which is also not maintained in the winter. So it's a class 4, which is still a town right of way used for motor vehicles, but not maintained in the winter. That's just a summary of what that class 4 is. I know there's a lot more to it than that.
and will there, is on the horizon, are we looking at the class 4 roads needing to be brought up to standards? And will there be new standards for those?
That I don't know.
Okay.
We have the maps now showing the high priority areas, low priority areas, areas that totally meet the standard right now. And the class 4s are marked now, but we're not being forced to do it at this point. So down the road, I have no idea. We keep having these rain events and mild
And
winters.
according to what I've read,
And so-
standards are pretty much on class 4 set by the town.
As of right now, he said that class 4 is more up to the town stand.
It is.
Yeah,
It
as
is.
of now. Yeah, correct.
The only thing that doesn't get changed is bridges. If there was a bridge there, it solely stays the town's responsibility to keep that maintained.
And out of curiosity, just because I just drove it, the road that, your road, how much, it's crushed gravel that was put
It's on
there?
it now,
Yes. How much did you
Plant.
have to put in there?
plant mix. Oh, we have it written down somewhere, a lot. There's
A
a
lot.
lot there, yeah.
Like
It was a couple days.
2 loads, 6 loads, 12
Well, like he
loads,
said, when it
12
was
or 15.
12 or 15. How much is it per load?
like he said, it's tough to know that without looking at it. But like Charlie said, the reason why it needed so much materials was he went up after the flood and used the road
I
material
brought
to fix
out
the
of
road.
and
They used what
flattened
was
it out.
there to fix it post flood rather than haul new. So now it was time to haul
Well,
new.
just to keep it passable.
Yeah.
But then we had more rain events and it
Yeah.
started to wash, so we had
Had to put in more.
What about the, what are the specifications for the trees above the road? Like, for a class 3 road, do they, does the state doesn't have anything
No.
to say? Okay, I was just wondering.
He tries to keep them cut back so the trucks aren't running into them when they're going down through. And usually, if there's a power line, the power company keeps the other side
Okay.
Right.
under wraps.
So, does somebody want to come up with a motion or have any more discussion?
I'd like to mention something. Since we are clearly urging you to not make this change, can we be put at the back of the list or something? Because I need a little time to adjust to this if you're gonna change this.
Well,
We just got hit. I won't talk about the money, but I need a little time.
well, I'm going to say that I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
Okay,
And-
then don't do it, please, because this is really.
Putting you to the back of the list is what
I
I'm saying.
understand. This is just hugely problematic for me. And we've been really supportive of the town. So it hurts my feelings.
I'm
It
yeah,
does.
I'm sure. And this is not easy. This is not easy for any of us, but I do, and I understand that.
I'm concerned about the 4th paragraph. I just wanted to push back on it a little bit. I'm not sure how to even express. I'd like to express. I'd like to express that. Ideally, we are contributing to a community and having a community, and I'm really glad to hear that there's a neighborhood working for a common goal, but unfortunately, I think it's irrelevant to the conversation that we're having. That's all.
Common good means getting rid of that property.
Well, I mean, that's
It's
how
a
you look
Question.
at
The
it.
town has had a really hard time with this property,
Yeah, no, I am aware. I am aware.
and
It's
you've not
yeah,
managed to fix it.
yeah. I am very aware,
So
but
we're gonna
nevertheless,
try to fix it.
I'm
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's relevant.
yeah. Oh, okay, I don't think it's a good thing. I don't want to go into it too more, but I just want to push back on the idea that that would affect a decision about a
You don't
road.
have to do this. This is an optional decision that you're making.
No, we actually do have. The state has asked
It's
us.
required, but you
It's
get
required.
to make that determination.
We get to make the determination
Yeah.
whether or not we want to ask the taxpayers to continue to maintain a road at a class 3. And I'll be quite honest, because I mean, you are very well posted.
What has posting got to do with it?
Well, because when you drive
No. It has nothing to do with anything, if you don't mind. I'm gonna push back on that.
you can.
That's
Yeah,
our
and I
land.
understand
We're
that.
gonna post our land.
Yeah.
The road is
And I
our
don't
road.
blame you.
That's got nothing to do with it. And you
Well,
don't like
actually,
looking
the
at
post,
signs.
the
That's
signs
not
are
my
in the
problem.
town right away.
No, they're on our property.
Are the signs in the town right away? The front
Well,
signs?
The town right away is her property.
Yeah.
But I think what you
We
guys
might have a
point,
sign on the driveway. We could remove that if you like.
No, that's
not on the
neither here nor
driveway, on
there.
the
That's
fence
neither
side.
here nor there. I'm
We-
just making a point that it does seem. I mean, to me, I don't know about the rest of you. Did any of you think that it was that?
We're trying to do something good
I understand
without
that.
having people kill all the animals. You know, we're trying to do something good there.
I
You know,
understand
they
that
can
you
shoot
are.
elsewhere. They can
I
shoot
understand
elsewhere.
that.
We're trying to preserve a
I feel like I feel like
Right,
we're getting way off
Right.
the path
Yeah,
here.
we are.
I do agree with you though, Susan, that paragraph 4 has nothing to do with the situation with the
Right.
the road.
We only have so much money. And we're trying to put it into a good use. That's what it has to do with.
And
And it's gonna
that's
affect our
good.
decision making if our budget is cut into. It's gonna affect our decision making.
And for those very reasons, that's why we are doing this, because we only have so much money.
There's,
Why
if
don't
there's
you
no
buy
motion, there's
Dwayne
no
Nichols
change.
land?
That's the way
Well,
this works. So
Because I have to
I'm
put on my
saying
own
you're not
road.
gonna make a motion.
I have no intention of. Just so you know.
What?
If there's no motion, there's no change. If there's no motion and vote, there's no change.
I make a
That
motion
stays.
to declassify this road to a class 4, or to throw it out. Does anyone have any?
Would we have to discuss which direction we would want to vote on before we are offering two different alternatives? One is to make it completely private property, and the other is to maintain a town right-of-way.
Would Jenny have
Preference?
say in that? I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are voting
What
as
would
a
your
board
preference
now.
be?
That you don't change the road,
But if we have to do that, what would your preference be?
Like,
that you maintain it somewhat,
Class 4.
that you maintain it somewhat.
okay,
How much is it going to cost to maintain a class 4 road?
it's minimal. It's minimal. It's if you have a washout, you go put a little gravel in it. The winter maintenance is really where the cost is.
But we're not going to be putting in new culverts and things like that.
Our road is fine. There's only one culvert at the beginning.
But if one did wash out, would we be replaced? If one did wash out, would we be replacing culverts?
The one on the road, no matter what, right? Because that's
Well,
access off of the
Right.
right.
Yeah,
Don't you guys?
most-
No matter
most
what,
likely.
Really?
an
No, I
entrance
put it
off
my
of
own.
Old Boynton Road, right? That culvert coming off of Old Boynton Road would be the town because it's still in the ditch, so you'd want to
I mean,
fix
at
it.
the end
Correct?
of the day, it's up to you as a board.
Yeah.
But for what I was trying to stress is if there's a residence there, I would have an issue pulling a culvert out.
Right.
I legally, if it's a
Right.
class 4,
So read,
I could pull a culvert out, I could put a swale in the road.
Right,
And
right,
they could
Yeah.
cut this.
right,
I would never,
Are there
wouldn't want that
culverts?
done to me, I wouldn't do that. to
right. And I
anybody.
wouldn't want to
So
do that
that's what
either.
I'm just
No,
trying
I
to say.
understand that.
I just want to point out that we have gone, what number road is this that we've addressed?
5.
Like 6?
5 or 6, I think.
In one particular case, well, if there's no legal town right-of-way that goes past the private residence, in certain circumstances, we have given people the option of whether they wanted to have it be their private property, and then or
Which is
if-
what Robin was just doing.
yeah. So, but your motion kind of didn't.
My motion was
Was
ambiguous.
both. Okay,
Yeah.
because it was
say it
both.
again.
So I want to hear what the rest of the board, they're feeling. I'm trying to pull out everyone else. I don't want to be the only person
I
sitting on the board that's.
Well, I think the homeowner it might have a strong opinion. And we still haven't voted. We might vote
There
to
was
do
no
nothing.
second on any motion, so there
Yeah.
can't be a vote.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
she just said class 4. The homeowner said if you're
Rather
gonna do
than-
something, class 4.
Did she
She'd rather have a
understand?
class 4.
Rather than have it be
Yes.
a private property. Okay.
So I move that Finn Road is made into a class 4 from this day forward. Anybody second that?
I'll second it.
Further discussion?
Is there any further?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just say aye.
Richard?
I am gonna say nay, but that doesn't affect the outcome.
And I'm curious as to why.
We're done discussing that after that. So. Just the way the order of the meeting has to work, correct? After the discussion is also. So now we move on to Biancaniello Road.
I'm sorry. And just, I know we're over with the discussion, but you are aware that it's just the plowing at this point, that class 4s, they still do minimal
Yes, I
maintenance.
am aware.
Okay.
And Jenny, you're just to hit on that, I should have mentioned that prior. Regardless of how even Biancaniello Road turns out, is we're gonna come back and sure back those roads. We're just not, we haven't made it there yet. So unfortunately, this vote came up prior to us getting the road put back into the shape that I think it should be in.
Right, Charlie
So
hasn't,
it's not gonna stay the way it is, it's just we have not had time to get back there to fix that big stone.
I understand.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you that about the next one, because
Yeah, they both have the
they
same
both have the
material.
same material, right?
That's the material we use when we're trying to build the road back up.
Right.
So.
We're not gonna leave you with a bad road.
No.
Some differences that I'm seeing in the two are that Biancaniello Road is part of a of a much longer road, which is still a legal trail, and it's also a much longer driveway.
Well, for that reason, I was going to open the meeting with turning it into a class 4 road, because it does have a trail at the end of it. I wasn't even gonna entertain the idea
Yeah.
of throwing it up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Does anyone want to comment on that? Or want to comment on that?
I mean, personally, I'll make a comment. Personally, I don't feel that that road is that far from being a proper Class 3 road. It's plenty wide. It's always been maintained as a Class 3 road, and I don't see an issue with it. I really don't. I understand that the state's telling you that you're gonna have to ditch it and put some stone in it, but you've been doing that to all the other. I mean,
It's across the board.
Yeah, it's across the board. And you're also getting state aid and stuff for that Class 3 road. That's right. And as far as being an issue to turn around and whatever, it's never been an issue. I mean, it's a pass up and a pass down, and I do maintenance on roads. I totally understand everything that goes into them, and I know the expenses and stuff. I understand that 100%, but I also feel that that road there is not in bad shape. It really isn't, and I don't see where it's gonna be a huge expense to maintain that road. Even in the wintertime, I don't see a big expense to that road. Not like there are other roads that are a much higher expense, and there's a lot of places where it's hard to turn truck around. And up at Tony's, it's wide open. You can get the single axle, you can get the dually, anything you want, you can turn around there.
Mm-hmm.
The grader, I don't care what it is. So
And agreeing with part of what Barry said, The road's in very good shape. It's not like it hasn't suffered from all this rain and mudslides, whatever the heck we've been having. Why not leave it as a class 3 while it's in very good shape? If something would happen where the road would deteriorate, it could always be moved to a class 4 category. But right now it doesn't look like a driveway. It looks like a road. I mean, I know my house is at the end of it, but I mean, the quality of it is a quality road. And so why not just leave it like that and say, if 2 years from now, the weather changes things and the road deteriorates to where it becomes too expensive, then you can move it to a class 4 and do less maintenance. And if it helps the town now financially, leave it a class 3 without snow plowing. And I'll have Barry do the snow plowing.
So we can't
do that.
No, if it's class 3, you gotta.
I don't know your rules, because
I wish we could do that because I know a lot of people would be interested in that, but we can't legally do
I'm not
that.
trying to beat anybody out of snow
Right.
plowing. Trying to get someone to pay for my snow plowing and stuff. But why not change it when the road gets to that point? But right now, it's a very good road.
Mm-hmm.
This is in my opinion, it's better than Lovejoy Brook.
In spots, it's wider,
It's
a lot
the
wider.
width of your road was not in consideration because it's there. The width is there. The trees aren't growing in the ditches. It's not.
No, it's not.
But Red Top is the same way.
Yep.
So, and we declassified
There was
that.
drainage issues at the top of that and turnaround issues.
Yeah.
Right, but multiple times the trucks get stuck trying to turn around up there.
Well,
There's certain scenarios like the road on Andover Ridge, you back onto somebody's lawn to turn around, and that doesn't work in the new winters.
Right.
And yours has gravel at the top to turn around. I want to let you know, I see all of every road is different.
Mm-hmm.
Just to touch
We
on
plow in mud.
What Tony was saying is down the road. So the idea is to not let it get worse, Tony.
Yeah.
And I can't really speak for the board, but I can speak from my perspective of being the road foreman in the town is I would never let a road fall apart and then give it to the landowner. That's why I'm saying even if the board decided to throw it up,
I didn't mean fall apart.
we would come in and fix the road up so it was a nice road before we handed it off.
No, I didn't mean waiting till it fell apart, but if it if it starts to deteriorate slowly enough that it's not salvageable, then you still can make that decision. It doesn't have to be today.
The class 3 though, we have to maintain it up to
Yeah,
the spec that it is now.
right.
And beyond.
But I mean, there's bad winters, there's mudslides, all that kind of thing. It changes the dynamic on the road. Right now, it's not a bad road. It's a good road. It doesn't take much maintenance.
I think any individual road we look at that could be said of, the question is overall, what do the taxpayers of Andover want to do? And honestly, I personally would like to see the whole issue discussed in a broader sense at a town meeting with more input from everybody. I mean, I have felt that way from the beginning, but it's also felt like there's certain, I mean, we're all just doing the best we can for a town that almost had to borrow $400,000.
Strapped.
We're
No,
really
we're on a
scraping.
budget.
It's very disturbing how scraping bottom we are, and
What has the town gotten for
the
reimbursement?
FEMA, the whole FEMA process is beyond. It's just been a nightmare.
I realize.
It's been a nightmare,
We're
and
about
it's
half back so far.
It took just over 11 months.
and we're just holding our breath to see when the next flood is.
We've had bills we haven't paid, and,
Oh, yeah.
so
And it's not even.
1.1 million, I think. Is what
Yeah,
the
and it's not even, I mean, our town office has to deal with some really crazy stuff with it, and the whole thing is just really expensive emotionally and financially for all of us. I mean, I was worried, but I thought we were going to have to borrow $400,000. It's just like, just by the skin of our teeth. Apparently, we didn't
First
have
time
to.
ever. Well, we postponed
Yeah,
paying
but as I
bills.
say, the bulk of that is because of last year's flood and FEMA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
That's what the whole issue is. That's not.
And it's going to unfortunately have lasting effects because the town historically, not forever, has never borrowed on a piece of equipment. The town saved the money and bought it per se in cash. And this flood has made it so now we have a loader and a truck payment. And that's just going to follow suit. You have a long time before you get back to that point of purchasing things outright rather than paying just for the one you're using, and then you start paying for the next one. Those are also points that I just wanted to make about it's just
We're in a bind.
Oh, there's no
It
question.
is, we're in a bind of really looking at every penny
Yeah.
and deciding what is the best way to go forward for the town. And also having the state ask us to do certain things, and one of the things is reclassify our roads. And so we're thinking, okay, how much is it going to cost 5 years from now? What if we have another flood 3 years from now? How much is it going to cost? How much is it going to cost to put down the crushed, I don't remember what you call it, plant mix, gravel, whatever you call it, to resurface some of these roads over and over again? Is it fair for us to ask the taxpayers to do that for a road that has one home on it and is virtually a driveway? And I know I keep saying that, and I keep saying I understand where you the cost involved to the homeowner and the sadness that goes along with it.
Well, in my case, it's more the emotional, not the money.
Yeah.
For me, the money. I mean, it's the emotion. For so many years.
To speak to that, the road's been there for hundreds of years, but it didn't always stop there. It used to go through, it went somewhere.
Sure.
But now it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. No, it's basically a driveway.
Yeah. And I'm sure if I put out the motion to, okay, well, let's make it a class 4 road all the way out past your house so that people could drive beyond your house in their, 4-wheel drives. You maybe wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. If somebody brought that to me and said, hey, here's an alternative that if it is actually a road that we will allow anyone who can drive access, I would say no way. I don't want you going past my house with a bunch of traffic.
It's never been an issue.
Right, because it's a trail as opposed to a class 4 road. The trail beyond your home. Does anyone want to speak on this or make a motion on this?
Chris, what are you thinking? If you care to make any, unless you don't want to say anything, it's fine.
We're at a loss.
You what?
We're at a loss.
You're at a loss?
Yeah.
The difference between the two situations
Because
being the length of the road as much as anything else.
right, because I'm curious as to why we're at a loss on this one.
Well,
the length, the inability for the resident to possibly get insurance because of the,
So I
which is that's all geographic. We understand. We've dealt with that at the other end of town where the houses are too far away, but that's just a geographic thing.
So I live at the end of a private road and we all get insurance.
That's just the distance from the services is what it is. It's
Yeah.
being farther out at back road. That's where I'm at. That you were asking everybody's input. That's where I'm at.
So you're also at a loss?
I wouldn't call it a loss. I'm at that point where that's my concern is the length of the road and the inability for the resident to get insurance if the road wasn't maintained. And there's actually historically already been an emergency there many, many years ago we were talking about earlier. So. The road's wide enough, they can turn around. There's,
And the property's always been open.
that's a,
Yeah.
It's always been open.
I just drove up there the other day and there were private property signs, and I don't mean to.
Just
Yeah, and then they
if
were
you-
taken down when we came there today.
Well, I'm telling you right now that we didn't take them down, and even if you've got a no trespassing sign, if it's not legally
I know.
posted, that has
Yeah.
never ever been legally posted.
Yeah, and I am aware of that, and I do know that you said.
We did put them up over the years, but it's only around the house at hunting, you know. Sometimes they stay up, but it's just around the house. Never on any of the road itself, you know.
I have never taken
Never
anybody
posted
off
the
that
property,
property.
you know. My neighbors bring their dogs there. They swim in the pond. Dexter across
Texas Brown.
Dexter Brown across the road, and his wife with the dogs. You know, unless she still has them, but she,
Bear, do you have?
Now, I personally don't see the big difference between the two roads. And I feel a little bad for this woman if we.
well, we've had several that we've changed and several that we've left unchanged. It just happens that these two roads are at this meeting.
Right.
If we looked back, we would have to
Right.
compare to all of them, and I feel that that's would make it unfair. If we don't, if we're going to do that, we have to bring them all out, and you have to.
Oh, no.
I
you know,
understand
that's,
that.
I just, these are just the two that are at
It's just
this
a
meeting.
coincidence that
Correct.
there's,
Right.
yeah.
But I still feel like the roads are one and the same. There's one house and it's a driveway. And I feel that way strongly. I feel like this is a perfect candidate for a class 4 road, as much as I know that that's not a popular opinion right here. But I do feel strongly that it is, as I did with this ladies road. And I say that, and I say it with all the sorrow that I could have. I really do.
I'm not saying you can't someday do that, but you know, why don't we put it off until the road? We're making a class 4 road out of something that's a very good road.
Because
Probably
as
one place
chair,
on Lovejoy Brook Road where you can come up and turn the snow plows around you. You know, even if you're not plowing. You know, that big turnaround area.
I think, and this is just me, I have a concern about the idea that, you know, Andover is this kind of amazing place, and everybody in Andover works really hard, and everybody in Andover, most of the people that own homes in Andover, most of the people that are sitting here that own homes in Andover, one way or another, Robin's driveway is straight uphill and it's about 3/4 of a mile. And there are other people on her road, and they have to do their thing. I have a driveway that's, you know, way shorter than that. We all have property. If we have a driveway, we have to get it plowed in the winter. Like, to live here, that's what you do. And it bothers me in a way to think that everybody's got to plow their driveway, and then maybe we have some of these roads that the state wants us to look at that are very obviously driveways surrounded by hundreds of acres, in some cases, of land, one landowner, one home, and yet the town is plowing, the town is paying for, the taxpayers are paying
taxpayers are
to
paying.
have your road plowed and your road
Taxpayers.
plowed. They're not plowing hers or mine or Chris's, I don't think. Now, if you live right on a road where the road goes past your house, and I can get in my car and drive on past your house and keep right on going and stop and do whatever to get to somewhere else, that's a different story. That's a town road. But I get concerned because I look at people and I think there's a kind, and it's one road at a time, and we're looking at all the different possibilities and the different roads and what it is. But for me, as a resident, I feel like, gosh, I'm not sure why this is kind of okay. And maybe that's just me, but that's how it feels to me. Because the money is so tight. And if Charlie has to put 15 loads of something into someone's driveway and we're maintaining it, that is really unfair to everyone else who's paying taxes to have that happen, right? Because my driveway is not getting plowed. Hers is not. Most of Andover who live here, they got to plow their own driveway or pay somebody to do it. So that's my concern.
I would like to ask Jonathan, because he's, as a lister, I was very surprised to learn that, and I want to make sure I have this right, that there is no difference in how, is that what we were told?
Yeah.
That whether you're plowed or not, whether you're on a town roadway or not, does not make a difference in how much taxes you pay. Like, you don't have to pay more taxes because you have a town road. Is that true?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get a discount
No.
if you're, that came as a surprise to me, because I always thought, oh, you know.
Jonathan is the assistant town clerk and a lister, if you don't know when he's talking.
But
Sorry, we didn't introduce.
people might not
No,
realize.
I didn't, in case we didn't introduce.
People
something.
might not realize that.
Yeah, no, I mean, land itself is more based on the quality of the land and the grade of it. You know, so if you get something on the top of the mountain or whatever, you know, there's like one piece that's sort of landlocked on the western lot. Very low quality grade of land. You get better, flatter land. So I mean, a lot of stuff like that. Most of the things that what we have in the value of stuff is based on the houses themselves. I mean, the land does add value to the whole thing, but the majority of the houses in town, or the properties in town, I should say, is the value of the structure themselves and site improvements and all that. So,
But
this is not going to affect it.
so you're saying that a house will, like Tony's house, if it is on the market with the road going to that house, and then if the road gets reclassified, so the town doesn't have to maintain it, you're saying that value of that house will not go down?
I don't really think it would, because there's several places
I don't believe.
It's legal.
which are half private things. I mean, I could think of like the one off Moose Walk. I think that's a log private thing, and that certainly doesn't have a lesser value. So I don't think it would really depreciate the value of the property at all.
Somebody spoke up, they talked to a realtor or something, and they thought that it was just the opposite of what Jonathan said.
Right, it's more
I think
desirable.
as it got filtered out, I think it came down to if it was desirable or not necessarily
To the person,
Right.
of
to
value.
the individual.
I think that's what it was, because there was a lot of confusion at that meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my personal thing would be like, I was shocked when I found out that, I thought the town probably charged you more taxes if they maintained your road, but that's not true.
It's
anyone gonna
4,000
make
degrees
it
in here. Are we going to continue to stare at each other? What's the
Right.
sweet Lord?
The only motion I have is to adjourn the reclassification meeting.
I disagree. I feel like we have people that don't want to speak up, and I'm a little disappointed in that, because we've talked about this. So I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed that we're not all speaking. This is not new to us. This is something Charlie has talked to us about, something we decided to do, something that we have made clear to
But
the
some of
public that we were doing.
Some of them change and some of them
And
don't.
now all of a sudden we're hearing, and I question why that is. And I'm a little disappointed in
I'll
the
use an
fact
example of the one road that I thought we would change, which took getting how many miles it is to get around through Wyndham to a town road.
Mhm.
That's the one I was like, that's a given. We don't even need to go
How
there.
many
Why
houses
is that?
are on that road?
But that's a part of the conversation I'm about to have. Is got there and my perspective changed, and that's why we do the site visits. And I have had perspective changes on several pieces of property, one way or the other. And that is the only example I'll use. Is once I got there, I was like,
And I agree with you on
I
that.
see it differently.
Right,
And
we all.
And tonight I saw it differently, and I'm sorry that we're not agreeing, but that's why there's
What
five
is it
of
that
us.
you see differently? Because I just would like to
Yeah.
hear your perspective. That's all.
Honestly,
I'm saying no
hearing
one's
the
speaking
insurance
out.
thing, that's
So-
a huge thing for me. And sitting through our whole emergency services as a town, wasn't even a select board, that was a town. It's very important to our residents, and that is very important to Mr. Biancaniello. And
So I live at the end of a dirt
And
road
he
that's
is
private,
farther
and I don't
from
believe that.
he's
to
farther from the firehouse and ambulance. That's all it is. Your house is 7 miles once you hit the blacktop, so let's call it 9. You're not 9 miles from Chester Firehouse. That's just, it's the geographic, and we heard about it from Andover Ridge residents at the town hall meeting that they have to get fire service from Weston because they're too far for their insurance policies. So you asked for my input, and that's where I'm
Yep,
at, and that's why I
appreciate
am
your input.
100% where I'm at.
They do go by the mileage, that's what they do.
From your structure to the
'Cause
emergency
I had
building.
several companies say yes
Yeah.
until it got down to the inspection of the house and stuff, and how far is the ambulance service, the fire service.
I hope that cleared up where
So,
I'm at.
so
Everyone
I have a
wanted my
question
input.
though. So why would we just take, I mean, in other words, if that's your opinion, I don't know what Chris's opinion is on this because you've not said, but why would we table it and kind of,
That's
Right.
not tabling. If I adjourn the meeting, there's no change. It's not tabled. It's just
so you need to
moved.
make that motion?
No, there's no motion. There's no change to the road. Reclassification is a discussion unless we don't have to. We're not looking at every single road in the town, so we would have to go to even the bigger roads.
So
We have not reclassified roads at these meetings, and there was no motion at all to change, correct? It doesn't have to have a motion if no change.
No.
The road would stay where it's at. We did that. We've had several roads that we did that.
Oh, so Chris, what do you think about this? What do you think about what Richard said?
I think he's got a point, and it also is harder to get insurance on log cabins. Makes it very difficult. But that,
we're asking the taxpayers to pay for something because it's someone's choice to build or put a building in an area or to build a certain type of structure. We're asking the taxpayers to absorb that cost. And I'm struggling with that. Because we are asking the taxpayers to do this. We're not asking,
I see your points also. I do.
we're asking the taxpayers to absorb this because of someone else's, man, I hate to say that, but someone else's problem.
Personal choice.
Personal choice problem. Which doesn't seem right to say. That's not right to say because we are a community that should all be
But in my defense,
helpful
it wasn't
with
a
one
choice
another.
that I made, because it was a road 45 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and the insurance was no problem. And the ambulance, when you first named the road Jarvis Road, and the ambulance went to the wrong road,
Right.
And I'm almost, I'm the Ludlow town line. I'm pretty far from Chester.
They usually call in Ludlow when it's that far away. That's how ambulance services work, or
I'm just
and
giving you
how-
insurance
how-
companies,
how
yeah,
but-
they just go. I'm just giving you their paperwork. I don't know how they operate.
not that
And
that's
I didn't plan it. I didn't plan to build a house that the town took care of. You know what I mean? It was 45 years ago. I was buying a house that the road was there for 100 years.
you get your point, Robin. For that reason, probably the thing to do is throw it up.
and not maintain it as class 4.
No, do a class 4 because you have the trail at the end. We have to do that.
Okay, I move that the property at Biancaniello Road be moved to a class 4. Anybody want to second it?
I'll say it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we end this hearing
I
and
second
move on to the select board meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.